Hello everyone. Today we will be learning how to write unit tests for our code. We will be building a simple Flask application writing basic tests for it. If you by any chance have imposter syndrome because you work in the tech industry, well congratulations, you've come to the right place. First of all, what the hell are tests? So people write code for companies, and people have the tendency to make mistakes, just like how you accidentally clicked on this video. Sometimes, however, your mistakes can be so huge that it can break entire applications, causing lots and lots of extra time and even money. In order to prevent this, people write automated tests and run the automated tests to check to see for any errors. It may not always fix every single bug, but can help point out small mistakes. Here is our app. Currently, we have two routes, and we want to check to see if they both return a 200 status code. To do this, we will be writing tests in our PyTest module. Okay, so jumping right into our code, the first thing we're going to need to do is create a package called tests. To do this, just make a brand new file and call it tests. Okay? The next thing for our compiler to know that this is a package, we're going to create a file called init.py. Init.py. So while this init.py won't have anything, it's meant to be a way for the compiler to know that this is a package and not something that needs to be run. All right. The next thing we're going to do is create a file called conftest.py. This stands for configuration test.py. Think of this as the constructor for a class, but our constructor for our tests. Okay. First thing we want to do right off the bat is import PyTest. The next thing we're going to want to do is import our app from app.py so that we can run tests regarding our code. So from app, import app as Flask app. So all we're just doing is taking the app and importing it as Flask app. I'm doing this so that I can differentiate the code so that when I'm reading it, I know that I'm reading a test and not an actual code file. Okay, the next thing I'm going to want to do is grab my Flask app. To do this, I'm going to first of all create a PyTest instant called a PyTest. It's a special PyTest method called PyTest.fixture. All right, and it's going to have a function called app. So def app. All right, and it's just and all I'm doing is just yielding the Flask app from that we imported earlier. The next thing I'm going to want to do is take that app and run it so that I can perform tests on it. So I'm going to be I'm just going to go ahead on at pytest.fixture, and I'm going to create a client, right? Because in a way we are the client, and it's going to take in the argument of app, and it's going to simply just run, or it's going to return the app as a test client. Return app.test client. All right, so now we can finally start writing some tests. Okay, so to do this, we're going to create another file, and remember that whenever you write files, make sure you have the test and underscore prefix on it. So I'm going to call it test_users.py. I'm calling it users because I have a login and sign up page which are relating to users. Okay. The next thing we're going to want to do is import. We don't need to import anything actually. We're just going to create our functions. So we're going to be like def test_index. And the reason why we're not importing anything right now is because our conf test has everything, because it's a package, right? So you can share modules in between. So we're going to create one, and it's going to test out index.html, which is also our login.html. So def index, and it's going to have our app that's specified from our configuration test.py, and then our client that we coded earlier. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just delete the app because we don't need it anymore. It helps save memory, right? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our status. The status is, in order to get the status, we will simply take our client and make a get function to grab whatever status, or to grab all the data from our index, our index for our website. The next thing we're going to want to do is use an assert function. An assert basically applies Boolean logic to a statement and just returns that, and it has to return true, otherwise it'll throw an error. And we need it to throw an error if there is, well, false. So assert the status code, and it has to be equal to 200. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to do is create another function called test. We're going to want a test called sign up. This is because when we go to like our app.py, our second route is just called sign up. Where'd it go? Here we go. And it's going to also inherit the app and the client module that we coded earlier. We're going to delete the app, and then we're just going to rinse and repeat. Status is equal to client.get, and this time we're going to get the route sign up. Okay, client.get sign up, and then we're just simply going to assert the status code, which is going to be equal to 200. Okay, so now as you can see, there are no real errors coming in. So in order to run these tests, we're just going to make a new terminal. And if you're in Windows, type in Python 3, or no, type in Python. But if you're in Mac, Linux, or some other like Unix-based system, type in Python 3. So you're going to go Python 3 -m, Python 3 -m, and then we're going to type in PyTest. Once we run this, it's going to check for packages that have the PyTest, and it's located inside of our test file, or our test package, and then it's going to run everything else. So let's just run this. Okay, now I'm just going to hit Control-C because I want to quit out the test. And as you can see, we've now received 2 passes, and we've only written 2 tests, so that means that everything's working. So now we've successfully created tests as well as learned how tests work. Hopefully you guys have benefited from this video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day.